welcome to EQcast. I'm your host, Christy Pritchard. This is where you can find authentic conversations with inspiring humans about mindfulness, self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and spirituality. Today on the show, I'd like to welcome Joss Hannaford. She's an emergency medicine practitioner, a teacher by trade, as well as a Reiki master, a violin teacher, and she does energy medicine work and RTT hypnotherapy. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. So awesome to be here.
Yes, definitely. And if
we've been lying.
It did take a little bit too. I think like we've been talking for a couple of months and I just really dug your vibe, and another British Clubby in here. And yeah, you just have a lot of interesting things on your Instagram and a lot of knowledge. And so I'm hoping to jump into some of that today because everyone needs knowledge around healing. Because
happy to share. You bet.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, everyone needs some healing right now. We're going through a lot. There's a big shift happening, and energetically speaking, and I know we could use all the help and support that we can get from each other. So with your RTT hypnotherapy, what does the RTT stand for?
Rapid Transformational Therapy. In the line of work that I do, I work deeply on emotional rooted issues with clients. And I have been trying to find for the last 3 years a deeper way of going into the human psyche, the human emotional centers, to get to the root of it quicker and to hopefully pull it out quicker. So I waited, and then finally I just saw these advertisements from Marissa Peer's Rapid Transformation.
Yes, that's where I saw that for. Yeah, I was actually tempted to dabble in that myself. Interesting. I love the course. Was it amazing?
She's within the. Yeah, she just is. And so I just highly resonated. It was just like kind of like this energy came in, just like boom. And my, I get the good signs. I hit the hair the next day. Just the whole energy starts running down my back. I'm like, oh, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
I got that on right now. I love it. That's awesome.
And it is. It's something that, I've been looking for, to be able to support myself, honestly, because I think it's more like you really have to experience it for yourself before you are able to really explore that with others. And honestly, I did it for myself first, yet also in the back of my mind that I wanted to work already with my existing clientele with this format too. So within the schooling, I really had to take some time, my own time, to move through all of the deeper rooted issues that I had to work with, because I've been on this path for a very long time. I've done massive amounts of inner child work. I've been working in this area for the last 15 years. So it's nothing new to me per se in shadow work, child work, I was so impressed where my mind took me under hypnotherapy. So within the schooling, you get hypnotherapy done on you as well. And it really uncovered and uncovered some memories that I didn't even know were there, or even belief systems. So it is around the belief system, what your child decides to believe about itself at a certain time in life. And then the rapid transformational therapy just transforms you out of it.
Right, exactly. And how many sessions did it take for you?
1 to 3, usually. If it's like a deeper rooted issue, but like if you wanted to stop smoking, it would be like maybe 3, because it's a bit more ingrained, the habitual pattern there. But you also get sent home with you like a recording for 21 days. So you want to break the habit. So
I think so you continue and do it every single day. Okay, I didn't.
For 21 days though, so you can break the habit, because the hypno goes in and actually shifts your subconscious, so it's gone. It's gone, it's transformed, yet you need to break the human habit.
The actual human, the 3D habit.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Huh. Fascinating. I didn't actually do the full 21 days. Maybe I should go back and revisit her videos. But
it helps. For me, I definitely noticed, I knew that some things were just like on automatic click. I could feel it, because when you're in it, you actually get guided in to understand that you're the one that's actually making the changes and the understandings. The therapist isn't doing it for you.
Exactly.
Yes, the therapist is guiding you in, yet you're the one that's actually listening to your own subconscious and why you chose that system in the first place. And you actually have the whole power to create a completely different one.
Amazing. Yeah. They're just like, they're holding the flashlight while you walk through the tunnel.
Just like that.
I love it.
So to me, it's been phenomenal. Honestly, I haven't had so much growth in this short period of time within my entire life.
Wow, amazing. So very rapid then, and very transformational. I love it. She named it perfectly. That's
she really did. And the rapid being like, you have to be prepared for the rapid.
Yeah.
You want to always make sure that you're nurturing yourself, you're taking time to take care of that space, not to force it. I really I was in a space in life, I suppose, where I knew that I needed to take time and be gentle. Because if you have deep-rooted traumas, it takes some time.
It does really take some time. And that awareness, even coming into the awareness element of those traumas, is probably one of the hardest parts. I think I was even talking about this in an earlier podcast. It's taking that step to understand, oh, hey, yeah, I do have some issues here. And that's like the biggest and hardest step. And then from there, it's finding the modes that work with you and taking that space and being gentle with yourself is key. It's paramount.
Everybody,
without judgment.
Yes. Without judgment, that's the big one.
That's the hardest part, probably. And that's a whole thing in itself, is trying to figure out how not to judge and to recognize the shame and be completely okay and at peace with that shame, because we all have it. And these conversations help because you get to share, oh, hey, I have that shame too. And if somebody else has it and you know that they have it as well, it gives it less power, I feel like.
Absolutely. And the more, because I feel like that's the one that holds quite strongly in humans and people, is the shame. And the shame can manifest in so many different kinds of diseases.
Yes.
And once there's more around that for sure, yet it all not all, but a lot of it can reside in shame. And if you can just bring light to it, share it, it transforms.
It does.
Like you say, it's just by talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's so true. It's phenomenal how true that is. And it's such a simple act of sharing and being vulnerable that transforms that as well, in a pretty rapid way as well. And today we had planned on talking about shadow work and light work, and which is funny with the analogy of the tunnel and the light I just used. I was like, oh, that ties in perfectly to how we're going to structure our conversation today. And we talked about your RTT, and I'm really glad we did touch on that, because it's a very helpful form of healing for people out there. And I haven't actually had a therapist on here for that. And I've talked about my own experience with it, but it was pretty short. So it was transformational though. I remember leaving my first experience and coming home and being in like this buzz-like state. And I was in a bit of shock too. I was just, because I also had to leave. She had a new client coming in and she was like, nobody's left crying before, but I had to go. But I just remember having that feeling of like completion, almost like something had been opened, like a door had been opened. So highly suggest people checking that out and contacting you as well. But we're also going to talk about food for healing and our diet, the importance of that, and our nervous system, how food interacts with our nervous system as well, and tie into all that. Yeah.
Food is huge.
Yes, it is. And it's kind of, that's where my shame comes in, because it comes and goes. Like I generally eat well, but I'm also not really strict on myself. I allow myself things from time to time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, me too. I mean, I feel like it is a moderation thing. It's also kind of feeding yourself high vibrational foods. And the high vibrational food could be the food itself, or whatever energy that you put into. Like
exactly. Absolutely. Yes. I was actually talking about this in a previous podcast, because I look at food, or maybe I think it was just a conversation I was having with a friend actually, because I look at food in a very different way. Like when I look at my chocolate, I don't say, oh, bad girl, you're eating chocolate. I'm like, oh, bless my chocolate. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's like my nighttime treat to have a couple of squares. Yeah. And it's the energy that I attach to it, which is positive. And I think that really makes a world of difference.
It's the difference, I believe, like a huge one. And just the energy of food itself. And with anything that's grown around the world, you can see what energy is put into it by its surroundings. Or, you can see almost like the whole line of where it gets to before you put it in your mouth. And the beautiful thing about this energy work too is that even if you know that perhaps that piece of food isn't necessarily high vibrational, you can do energy work with it in order and just do a lot of prayer. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And
so you
people
can put your attention.
say grace before dinner. We've lost that. We've totally lost that. And our food is coming from worse places. It's coming from, a lot of factories, and the farming system is incredibly toxic nowadays. I'm really hoping that'll change. I just watched a documentary before I canceled my Netflix called Little Big Farm. It was so cute. And I was like, if we can just change and transform so many, like the entire farming industry to be more like that. And, every community and area have something like that and pitch into it, we would have a completely different food system. And
the system definitely is needing to change for sure.
Yeah,
it is though, slowly
it
happening, because I think more awareness is being brought to it. So I feel like in that regard, it's good. Yeah, there is definitely some work to be done for sure.
Definitely. I think we're going to hit a point where there's going to be no other choice. Like our topsoil is eroding. Scientists are starting to step up. I'm really hoping that there's going to be a tipping point at some point, I'm sure. And I feel like we're close. I feel like we're close because there's a lot of drained energy right now. And usually prior to a big shift and a big change, it's when we were both talking earlier about how we're both pretty freaking tired energetically. And that's just because there's a huge collective movement and shift happening right now. And I know I've definitely been feeling it. So hopefully that involves the farming system and food system as well with that shift. I don't think it can shift without that because food is our main source of energy. So
absolutely. And we need to be able to create those spaces that we can grow our own food.
Yeah, definitely.
Bringing knowledge around that, just it is happening. Like up here in the north, it's really lovely. All the schools, they're really learning that type of.
Oh wow, amazing.
Yeah, and cool. Teaching all the kids, where does your food come from? Going out and pledging it in the boxes, like it's happening, which I really have it. Yeah, it's really beautiful. And even up here because it's in the north, and there's like obviously you have worked up here for a time too. That the growing season is shorter.
Yes,
and so there's like new innovative ways to do it.
Yeah,
and the greenhouses and.
And there's just ground. I've seen people digging in the ground and to use that as insulation as well, which is fascinating. And hydro or like indoor stuff. You know, if we can grow weed indoors, we can grow vegetables.
Totally. And those vegetable towers too.
Yeah, I've seen those. Those are really cool. Do you have one of those?
Not yet. That's on my mind. There's a few of my friends up here having them. I'm like, okay, now that I've moved back up here, I feel like I'm settling again, and I will probably get a tower. Yeah.
Definitely. They're so interesting. And like they're just so handy. They're right in your kitchen. Like how can you go wrong with having fresh food?
Just even if it was just herbs, adding that fresh, because it is high vibrational food. If it's live, it's high vibration. If it's not live, it's probably dead.
Yeah, exactly.
It's dead food, unfortunately. But we can transform the dead foods through our prayer and the energy work and whatever else you do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So is that how you've done a lot of your light work? Like, have you worked with food? I know you work with music as well, and I want to touch on that also. But I know you do. Yeah, you do a lot of light work. I liked how you wanted to refer to it as light work rather than shadow work. I like that.
I'm happy with both, honestly. There's a part that I believe that's really important, that we embody both our light and our dark.
Yes.
And really important to really love both.
Absolutely.
And really to get into that shadow, because our shadow ends up being really beautiful. From my own experience, I've accessed that through my inner child work and the inner child work that I guide clients through as well. And honestly, one of the biggest tools I've had in this lifetime to help me get back to my wholeness of who I am.
Yes. And it's
the inner child.
I agree.
And the inner child work and going in, and what I explain it sometimes, because it's really hard to understand it sometimes, what inner child is. Not everyone would understand when somebody would say that. And so to explain it, it's,
how do you explain it?
Any kind of feeling that you have. So if you have anger or anxiety, or it's coming from somewhere. And so I tend to ask the client to start asking themselves, like, usually that's your inner child talking to you.
Yeah.
And your inner child is anywhere from now and to when you were in the womb. And so it's kind of like a tracking kind of method where you kind of ask your little one inside, and it's usually a visualization process, or you just get to feel into. Sometimes people get the visual, some people get a feeling, and then you just kind of ask that feeling, what is it that you need from me right now?
Yeah.
And some people haven't even connected to their inner child their entire life, so they have no idea. So
how to even connect to it as well. And I think that's the really challenging part still, to make that correlation between, well, how do I know that's inner child? And I don't know, like for me, it was more simple because I went through hypnotherapy to find mine and the visualization and having that guide there. But if you're just telling someone on their own, how would you go about having them recognize, like, and I know you said if it's fear or anger, but is there like, do you actually visualize yourself as a child? Do you think that would be a good way to get somebody who's really not familiar with this process at all, like to really simplify it?
What I would do is actually grab like 2 teddies.
Yeah.
And what is being your female inner child and what is your male inner child.
Interesting.
And you actually speak to them if they want to be tangible, and if you were to actually you actually name them.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's and then you can actually start again to speak and have a dialogue with your inner child. So if you can't do it in here, at least you're speaking to
something.
Teddy.
Yes.
Oh. And then when those feelings come up, you can ask like and right away tell them how much you love them. That I always go to that person. Tell them how much you love them, how much that they are enough just as they are. And I'm here to be with you and hold space with you. And I'm never not going to be here. Because if you think about it, some levels of trauma come from a space where we have disconnected from ourselves, and we need to get that place back. And that place back is usually our inner child that has stepped out that needs to come back. And so we have to create that safe space for our own self, our inner child, to actually come, because our inner child has felt abandoned the entire time. And we don't realize that. That's the kind of ethereal part. Yeah, like, oh yeah, I actually haven't abandoned my inner child. I didn't myself. Yes. You know, and then the links start happening. And it's like, oh, and then you start getting into the feeling, like if you're feeling a certain way, or usually for me, it's usually anxiety. And I never really figured out, I'm like, why am I so anxious all the time? And I had to sit with my inner child and really ask them, her, him, so one of them would come through, or maybe both of them would come through, and just ask, like, what's going on? What do you need? Yeah. And usually they would start having like a dialogue, or a feeling would come back. And from my experience, from what people have experienced, is that they get a visual, then they can start talking. Yeah. And then they just have this inner dialogue. And then it doesn't take that long sometimes. It takes maybe 5 minutes. Yeah. 5-10 minutes.
Quickly touch base and just reach out and And
I even would say people that can't access their inner child right away, they just speak with them. Just be like, hey, how's it going? I'm here when you need me. And then over time, then they start really connecting more and more and having the dialogue. And it's been super powerful work. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Super powerful. And then in that, you are accessing your shadow, because that's usually where the forgotten memories. Those feelings
pushed away and I'm forgotten. Yes.
Yes.
Let's totally forget them.
Yeah. For me, I personally forgot my memories for years.
Yeah. I still am grappling with finding mine. And the only time I found it was in hypnotherapy.
Yeah. Mine has more so through hypnotherapy. Prior to that was the inner child work, and yet the hypnotherapy took me even deeper. And I'm like,
there are those remnants that I was trying to, even through the inner child work, still trying to stuff down. Yeah, it's amazing what our subconscious is capable of forgetting just for our own safety. This is our fight or flight method. This is how we keep ourselves safe, is by forgetting certain things or pushing things down. So this work is really, really important. And then after there, we feel more clear. Once you start clearing that energy out, once you recognize it, it's amazing the energy shifts. I don't think I could be functioning as well, considering what kind of energy we're in right now, had I not done some of this work prior. So kudos to those who are digging in while we're going through this, because it takes a lot of courage and strength at any time in your life to do it. And right now, it's really important that we do it. I think it's the most important time to do it. And I think a lot of people are waking up to not only the importance of that, but just the necessity of it. I think it's becoming like a necessity.
Yeah, because I think all of us really want to feel more whole and peaceful in life. Exactly. More often. Consistency, right? The constant and consistency of it. And me, I'm not there. But I've always
consistency fully is a thing.
Yeah. That's
but mainly consistency,
And the idea too is in my own experience, because I hit my lows and my highs, and the thing is that the highs and the lows are still there, and yet I don't judge them so much. And I think that's the work around it too, is that you don't judge when you're actually going in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a journey.
It took a day on Monday, and I used to feel guilty for stuff like that. But this Monday, I didn't. I was exhausted, and I just, something just felt off. And I did as much work as I could from the couch on my pajamas on my laptop, and did not. And I used to give myself crap for that. I would feel guilty for an entire week, thinking that I lost time. And now I'm like, thank you for taking that time to look after yourself.
Yeah.
Like, that's really necessary. And then the rest of the week, I can function at a higher capacity because I took that time. And so that's another part of it. Yeah, that acceptance of we all need it. We all need to take it. So just take it when you can. And so to bring food back into it, how do you go about blessing your food? What do you say? How do you, if you don't mind sharing?
It's not personal. When I'm actually preparing my food, as soon as I take it out of the fridge, I have this feeling that comes in. I ask for, because I do a lot of Reiki. So my intention is that the Reiki energy comes in and really transform this food into food that's really loving for my body. and for my mind and my spirit. And so as I'm preparing my food, it doesn't happen all the time. Honestly, I'm trying to do that all the time. Do you know what I mean?
Sometimes we have to think about it.
So like, it's not happening all the time, but when I'm very cautious about it, I really take the time to really just the awareness and just being present with my food and to bless it and just to, and then say if I'm at a restaurant, sometimes just see me with my hands over the top of my plate and I can feel it actually. And even if you don't feel it, doesn't really matter. It's more like the intention. And
you might feel it in other places too. Yeah. Like everyone's different. So
And I just thank the food for being here on my plate in the first place, for whoever's made it, for wherever it came from, and then for when it comes into my own body, that my body loves it. Mm-hmm. The food loves me, and then just the integration and the merge of it, and that it's actually super conducive for me and my higher self, and
everything.
It becomes quite like second nature sometimes, and I notice that I'm doing it, and it's just over time. Yeah, it does become second nature. And same with the water too. I find it very important with water.
Yes, I have a jar of water that I write. I give lovely little affirmations on and give it love and bless it. And
I put it in like the moon too, like a little bit.
Oh, I like that. Oh yes, you get real witchy. I like it. All about the witchiness. Absolutely. That's awesome.
We just had intention,
definitely.
Thing. It just is like, and the moon, why would we want the moon's energy in our water? I'm sorry.
Exactly. It's true. Well, isn't that where the water signs come from? I'm sure that's out of my scope. I'll have to have an astrology on here.
That's
beyond my grade. So as food tying into our central nervous system as well, how does that affect that part of us? Because I know a lot of us are running on fight or flight. So how does the food that you eat and the energy that you give it, how would that maybe affect your central nervous system? And if people are running on survival mode, do you think that would help in that regard?
Yeah, absolutely. I find that I guess I would only be able to speak from my own experience that like my body literally craves plant foods, like needs like live food coming in.
Yeah.
And whether it's vegetables, fruit, however does it work, you want to keep your body at less of an inflammation. So foods that are less geared towards that, because everybody's different.
Everyone is different. Definitely.
Everyone is different. So I find it's interesting the reason why I say that, because sometimes it's really important to eat a lot of sugar sometimes, because that's what your inner child needs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
You know what I mean? So it's not like
my inner child comes out every night then. A little square of chocolate. It doesn't have any sugar in it, but not much. But yes. Yeah. So that's true. You have to listen. Yeah.
Yes. But it all comes down to, I find, is that we are here to experience joy.
Yeah.
And joy is through our food, through what we're doing, through being outside in nature. It's about joy. I know people need to compartmentalize it into, this is the food that I'm putting into my body. This is the work that I'm doing spiritually, emotionally, mentally. Those compartments, yet they are all combined, because one does not work without the other.
Yeah, very true.
And it is the mind, body, spirit. And I really believe that. So the food is so important too. It just is within that. Yet we say it's really important when you enjoy your food.
Yeah.
If you enjoy your food, and my mind, eat whatever you want.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it that what enjoy it is. It's not enjoy feeling the want. It's the enjoyment about, this is doing wonders for my body. This feels so good because it's going to make me feel amazing.
Yeah. Making that decipher between, is it a craving? How would you do that? Like making sure that it's not just a craving, but it's coming from the ego, but a want. You know what I mean?
Yep. I actually have experiences of this. I definitely have had my issues with food growing up. I used to have an eating disorder, all based in emotional trauma that I needed to heal. So working through being bulimic for years, I've had this relationship with food, and then coming out of that kind of relationship with food, understanding that it's super important to connect to your food.
Right.
And does it bring you joy?
Yeah.
Is it joy? Is it joyful going in, and does it make you feel good? Because the food going in must make your body feel good. So your mind feels good. So your spirit feels good. And so then you feel like you want to move your body. It's like, that's how I view food.
Yeah.
For me, is that it has to bring joy into my whole being though.
Yeah, exactly. Into your whole being. And that includes body. You have to want to eat it. You have to want to eat it. And everyone has different tastes, but also thankfully everyone has different body types as well. So some people's bodies are geared blood types. I don't know if that's in alignment with yet. And so I really believe that it makes sense to me, it just makes sense that not everybody's going to work on a vegan diet, but maybe some really do. And not everybody is going to work on a carnivore diet, but maybe some people do.
Yes.
For me, I just need balance. I know that for a fact. And I can eat most things like without actually, I can eat pretty much anything without issue. I don't have allergies to anything. And I also think that might come with how I've always kind of defaulted to look at food. Like I've never looked at it as the enemy, you know, I've never had an unhealthy relationship to food. Other things, yes, I have unhealthy relationships to other things, but not my food. But
yeah,
I think
the one thing I wanted to go back to, because I felt like I missed it with the,
sorry.
What I wanted to say about the emotional part of it. So say I've had emotional attachment to food, and a lot of people have. I've worked with a lot of people too. It's more like I can tell when it's a want or if it's a joy, if it's that kind of the deciphering. So when I decipher, I have to, sometimes when somebody is, say, going to the fridge or getting their food out, they have an emotion, there's emotion going on. And sometimes that has happened for me where I'm like, there's this emotion. I literally have to sit with my emotion before I'm going to eat whatever it is I'm eating, because I know that it's not about the food. It's about what emotion is going on here that I need to settle. And after that,
transmute.
Once I've transmuted it, I no longer need to eat that maybe not so great piece of food.
Amazing. And so how do you go about recognizing that emotion, and then how do you transmuting it? Sorry, I'm gonna
totally. So the awareness, I think that's the huge key, is just like, how am I feeling when I'm eating this food?
Yeah.
How am I
really getting into your body?
You know, really getting into your body. And it's not, in these days, it's not easy for a lot of people, because we're just so used to doing,
running on autopilot. And running out in survival mode.
Mm-hmm. And I find another lovely thing is to really just have things in your fridge that you know that are really great for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
And be prepared.
Yes. Yeah, being prepared, that's a whole other thing. Everyone needs to be a little prepared right now, I think. I mean, we never know. Like it's good to have, I have lots of like dried soups and stuff in my cupboard, like lentils and oatmeal, nourishing things, so that I'm not just eating canned food if our supply chain goes down or something happens, heaven forbid. But we have to be realistic right now too, but we also have to think about our health as well. Like you can't just survive off string beans and canned soup. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The whole foods are really good too.
Yeah. Yeah. What kind of whole foods do you eat the most of?
Basically, I eat anything that is basically closest to the earth as possible. And when I say that, it's just like, I do stay away from canned foods. I stay away from, not that they're not great.
I mean, they might have a time and a place if we have some issues, but yeah.
I feel like I eat those last. It's not that I don't have them. They're kind of like last. I eat a lot of fresh things if I can, and a lot of whole grains. And then frozen comes next. Because frozen is the next best fresh thing to eat. You can't get fresh kind of thing. And my body just tends to want that.
Yeah.
And so I listen to my body. I think because our body is like a huge communicator for us too, it's really important to listen to what our body needs. Our body is communicating to us intuitively about what we need to spiritually, mentally, and food-wise too, right?
It ties in. And once you start clearing out that work and doing that inner child work, it can communicate, I think, a lot more fluid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And with better choices as well. It becomes kind of a default to have those better choices, because you're in tune with your body and because you want to respect it and give it the best things possible. But until we get to that point, I feel like it's really hard to have that communication with our body, I mean, it can be done, but clearing that stuff out, I tell you, it's a world.
It takes time. Yeah. And I think too, even when we're listening to our body, we listen and we hear, we must act on it too.
Yes.
So it's great that we hear it. Yet what are we going to do?
Yeah. I'm kind of at that stage. I'm like, I know I hear you, but I'm just like,
this is frustrated. This okay. Yeah. I get it, because my days are all over the place right now. So the thing is, I don't judge it anymore.
I was just going to say that. And I don't judge myself at all either. And that's the thing, that guilt, that shame, when you attach that to the choices that may not be the best, I think that's just another layer of crap that we don't need. Just do the best you can. Forgive yourself.
That's exactly.
And keep on trucking. I don't know. That's kind of that's how I roll. And like I said, I've never had too much of a bad attachment with food, but I do try, and I don't know whether or not it's because I'm just not fully, like I'm listening, but I'm not bringing it into application, or I don't know if it's just that's my natural state with food, is that I just believe it's energy, all of it, and I'm just grateful for it, So I don't know.
Wonderful.
I'm hoping to get some more insights this weekend. I'm sitting with a plant and I'm wondering, one of my intentions is just to find out if I'm doing like if what I'm doing is working for me. I kind of want to know some clarity around how the path that I'm going down. So, and that doesn't involve food. It involves my habits. It involves everything.
Yes.
So yeah. So I'm
And
interested.
the plants will tell you.
Yes. Yes. I'm sure. I hope gently.
Oh, I'm so happy. Joe, I know I'm so happy for your journey. That's great.
Thank you.
There's
Thank you.
so much wisdom and information that comes through.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. I'm not sure if you've had experience or want to talk about it, but yes, you have.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes, plant medicines are quite lovely. I can speak liberally.
Yes, I'm actually doing a whole YouTube video on my journey. So we're definitely,
okay.
I'm doing ayahuasca. Yes. I've just mentioned it so many times on my other episodes that I felt so silly bringing it up again. So that's why I didn't mention the name, but
no worries.
I'm doing ayahuasca. So I don't know if you have particular experience with that.
Yeah. So when I was in Peru living there, I've done a few ceremonies. Not that you need to do a few ceremonies, because that was my whole learning back then that you don't need to do so many.
Yeah. I'm doing well. I'm quite grateful.
You need to do one for your life. So I had definitely the privilege to sit. I was in ayahuasca, Whatchuma San Pedro.
Yes, I San Pedro. I have, it's next.
That is,
I was lucky enough to come into contact with them, and now I'm just finding a ceremony leader and doing all of that process. So yes, I'm really excited. What was your experience with Whatchuma? I'm really interested. Yeah,
Whatchuma is like the grandfather of the jungle.
Yes, mm-hmm.
And just like, well, at first it's like 4 hours, and you have to get to your peak, but right in there, those 4 hours is a little bit of a grind, and it's the emotions or whatever needs to come out comes out, and then you reach the kind of the peak here, top of the journey. And then things just become so connected, very present moment with the earth, anything around you. Stillness happens. Time goes. It's just, you have no idea what time is. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
And there's just so many visions that come. There's so many epiphanies, very in such a slow way that you have time to process.
Amazing.
Everything.
Yeah.
And when you're in it with ayahuasca, ayahuasca's like the mother. Just
let's get this done.
It's just
oh my goodness, so funny.
That's gonna be that's so much of a description.
It seems very accurate for the people I've talked to.
It's super humbling.
A little gritty, but
super humbling. So I had my first kind of phase of ayahuasca. Then I did a Whatchuma, and then I came back, and then right after that I did some ayahuasca again with a different type of medicine. So it's Hawaiian. Oh wow!
Wow! I didn't realize there were several grandmothers up there. Huh?
Yes,
I didn't know. Very interesting. Huh?
Yeah,
very intrigued.
So I'm really excited for you, obviously. Well, but I feel like it's meant to be obviously coming out more and more for people to be available, because it heals on such amazing levels.
Yeah.
It's not for the faint of heart. I think you probably know that. And it takes a little bit of courage. And
yes, a lot of courage.
Once you're in and through, though.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I feel like, and not that I've had children, but the way I've heard mothers talk about having children, it kind of seems like they're afraid of giving the birth. But after you give birth, it just kind of seems like the rest, it falls by the wayside, because you're so happy to have your little bambina, that it, nothing else matters. So, and that's kind of how I've been trying to tell myself in the last day or so, that's what it's going to be like. I'm kind of giving birth to my, to my clear subconscious, and
yeah, it's going to be beautiful. Oh, that's amazing. So happy.
And it's a woman's circle. Thank you. I'll definitely let you know how it goes. I'm doing a full video series. I've already done one section of it.
Oh, that's
my whole drive there. I'm going to try and video while I'm there, but I don't really know how I'm going to feel, and that's okay if I don't get anything done while I'm there. And then I'll do a post integration. So hopefully by the new year, I'll have the amalgamation of everything, because I think it's really important. And, I know a lot of people know about ayahuasca now, and I've known about her for 15 years now, but still didn't take the plunge. I wasn't getting the call. But I still
when you call
to share
the call you call. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yes,
you'll find time to share. I think because there's the want to actually share after you have done ceremony, and just share on camera.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm gonna do my best. Oh, yeah.
I will just, I will just send you all the love, the loveliest intention. Totally.
Thank you
I'm
so
so,
much. I really
I'm so
appreciate
excited for you.
it. Thank you. I'm doing it.
It's all about
And
the
I'm really
heart,
grateful
right?
to you. Pardon me?
It's all about the heart.
Yes, it is definitely a
Mhm.
heart centering, heart opening for sure, and dissolving ego and all of
Mhm.
that. I'm really excited for that. I've had some ego deaths naturally in this last year.
Oh, no.
They come and go. They come and go. Oh yeah, it's incredibly painful. I lost both my parents, and I still didn't like experience the amount of grief that I did this year, of old ways of living, of just like so many different things kept coming up for me this year. And there'd just be days where I'd just be lost and the pain. And I'm excited for that. I know it sounds weird, but I'm kind of excited for that to condense into one night
Yeah.
into a way that can really stick, because I have a feeling that that's what happens. Do you find that happened with you?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I talk about my parents, lots of love.
Oh,
I just lost, I lost my dad this year. No one say lost, honestly. He transitioned and my mom
yes.
transitioned about 5 years ago. So they're both
Oh,
over the hospital.
no, we shared that. Yes.
Yeah. I
Wow.
was like,
Yeah.
so for me personally, my mom came through
Yeah. Oh, amazing.
and my brother came through too.
Wow. Oh, you
Yeah.
transitioned as well. Wow.
Yeah. So you might have some really beautiful experiences with your people that have transitioned.
Yes, I'm actually really
Yeah.
hoping that was part of my subtle intention as well, because I haven't had any yet, and they've been gone for about 5 years now, both of them. So, and yeah, and I'm surprised. So I was hoping that maybe something might come out.
And if there's anything that needs to be sorted within, say some things that need to be healed during this lifetime with them, that also happens too.
Oh, thank goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's actually, I mean, yes, it's challenging. Yes, you're going to go into emotion, yet you're so ready.
Yes,
You know,
I think
you're so ready. And it, that my idea around this life, sometimes all the time, is that my heart cracks and breaks all the time.
Yeah.
Yet I don't, it's okay now.
It's not, yeah, I was going to say it's not debilitating. It's like,
No, it just
it's a
cracks
part of
because it
the, and light comes out
Yeah,
rather than cracking and bleeding, maybe. Is that kind of,
and honestly, from my experience, that my heart just gets softer and softer and softer, and I'm so grateful for it. Honestly, like I'm like, oh, okay, everything's fine, and everything is okay.
I use some more of that right now.
Everything's okay.
Yeah.
It's like deep
And we
down.
need that right now more than ever, actually. Yeah.
And I think deep down, a fear for a lot of people, like the muted one, is like, am I going to be okay?
Yeah.
Am I actually, like, deep down, am I going to be okay? And when the heart cracks over and all of that happens, there is that part of me that I got back something from my childhood too. Like, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. And you survive and you know that you're going to be okay, because you keep coming back stronger, wiser, and everything kind of ends up working out. And it's the more times that you have to go through painful processes, the more times you realize, oh, hey, I'm still here. Like, I got this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's always like the lessons in it too, and realizing just how supported you are. Like in this last year, I felt kind of unsupported my entire life somehow, separated, kind of just like not quite totally here in my wholeness of my body. And this last year, with all the work that I've done, accumulating, I suppose, I think, I feel this space of like, I'm not very separate. I don't feel too far away from anyone. I just feel supported.
Awesome.
And it's an internal feeling. It's not an external feeling.
Yeah.
And I knew this. So it's kind of like remembering and knowing, like a knowing of a remembering that I know it. Yeah.
Just like a knowing, an innate knowing.
Knowing.
Yeah.
And I suppose it comes down to like a level of faith, trust.
Trust is huge. It's having that, no matter what happens, you have something to fall back on. You're falling back on a big pillow top bed, and just know that, yes, you're going to fall, but it's going to be a soft fall. And even if you hit a couple sticks on the way down, it's still, you're going to hit that soft bed eventually.
Yeah.
At some point, please. Yeah. You're down there, right? But that trust, it definitely comes down to that trust. And I felt it and experienced it as well. And the more times that I've had to go and fall down and land on that bed, the more I know it's there, rather than fighting it.
And the inner child, and the inner child work around that too, because when you realize you have your own back.
Yes. Oh, huge. Yes. You just,
Wow.
yeah, there it is right there. Boom. Amazing.
Have your own back.
And that's so true. Like, you don't realize how much you need to have your own back, and you don't realize that's not only, but that's easily accessible when you do that work and you make that connection and you really make peace and love your inner child, and you realize, hey, we're a team. like, we got this, you know? Yeah.
Gives me the tingles when you say that. Oh.
Yeah. I love it.
Yep.
Excellent. Yep. Yeah. Well, amazing. Went down little rabbit holes that I wasn't expecting. And I love that about this podcast. And it is the best. I thank you so much for sharing everything, especially what
Yes,
you're
thank you
learning
so much.
and your hypnotherapy too. So how can people find you if they want to work with you?
Definitely on Instagram. One Love Healing is my business name. Joss Hannaford, Facebook. Yes. Yeah, that would be the two easiest. And my website too. It's onlovehealing.com. Yeah.
Onelovehealing.com. Amazing. I will link
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
down below. But thank you so much. I'm so glad we finally aligned. That
Yes, I know.
well deserved couple of months. But hey, we wouldn't have
know.
talked about plant medicine because when we were first talking, I don't think I had this lined up yet. So it all worked out for a reason. I just got goosebumps.
I know.
So we were meant to have this part of the conversation, and that wouldn't have happened then. It happened now. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you as well. Super. Yeah.
Lovely to connect. And thank you everyone else for joining us. Thanks so much. Please don't forget,
guys.
Yes, excellent. And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and find Joss on Instagram and her website, and find me on there too. I'll link everything below. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave me a review. It really, really helps me out. And stay tuned for another episode next week. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much. Bye.
See you.